Okay. Hey, welcome to Champagne Sunday. It's your girl T, and welcome back to another Sunday. I hope that you've been resting, relaxing, and reflecting. But today is a special Sunday because I have a guest.
Hey.
Yes. Hey. Introduce yourself, guest. Who are you?
Hello, world. I'm Gerron. How are you?
I'm well. So Gerron and I have been friends for maybe
I did the math. It's been a minute.
it's been a minute. It's like
15 years.
2000. It's been 15 years?
15 years.
Wow,
I
15
know.
years. That's a long time.
That's
We're
what
old. I mean, we're getting older,
we're getting there.
but that's a long time. Yeah, so we met in college at Howard University, HU.
HU, you know.
All right. And so, Darren, tell us a little bit about yourself. This is not new to you. You're all about communications.
Yeah, I am all about communication, but I tell you, it's a little weird being on this side of the microphone, being talked with. But yeah, no,
Uh-huh.
I am I'm a journalist. I'm a news anchor in Milwaukee, Milwaukee,
Okay.
Wisconsin. So yeah, no, I anchor the morning news every Monday through Friday. Shameless plug, 4:30 to 7
Hmm.
a.m.
Okay.
WISN.
Let them know. Let them know. And then you have a new opportunity now. So you're going to be on TV a little bit more.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. So I was just named the co-host of our weekly political public affairs show. So
Nice.
basically, this is like a half-hour show that airs on Sunday mornings, and we just basically talk about some of the biggest issues that are happening all across Wisconsin. It's a lot of
Okay.
politics, but a little bit of public
Hmm.
affairs conversations too. So that's what I'm really excited about because I'm kind of passionate about some public affairs type storytelling. I like issues of like.
Nice.
Mass incarceration, looking at issues like that
Mm.
in our communities and looking at some of the issues that really affect Black and Brown communities. So now I have an opportunity to talk about those on our new show. So I'm excited about
That's
that too.
awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
really awesome. And I mean, I guess that too, because that was last year you interviewed Kamala Harris. So this is kind of like all in sync. I like that.
Right,
I
yeah,
like that. Yeah.
yep.
I
The
like
HU
that.
connection was real. For
Okay.
15 years.
See, it pays to go to the real
Yeah,
HU.
the real one.
The real one. So today we're gonna do a bubbly. And actually first, let me tell what are you drinking on?
So I
What are
am
you sipping
drinking
on?
on a little
What are you sipping
Pacific
on?
Rim sweet Riesling here.
Okay,
Uh,
I love a Riesling.
Yeah,
Okay.
this was a nice little
But it's
Christmas.
sweet though.
Yeah, that's what
What's
it says. So
what's the percentage?
let's see.
We do 12 and up.
We do 12 and up. Let's see.
12 and up.
I need to get something stronger.
Tell
This
me,
is
it better be 11.5. What
no,
is it?
this is pretty weak actually. I'm embarrassed to say it.
You better say it.
It's 7.5.
Oh my goodness.
Oh
I
my
needed the
goodness.
thing. I wish I had my I wish I had my
You
my
need a laugh
little thing
track?
set up. Yes, I don't even have it plugged up right now, but I need to go boop,
I
like
know,
some
I
sound
know.
effect. Boo.
Wait, do I need to get something
Something.
stronger?
I mean, sip on it. Let's see where it takes you.
Okay, all right.
We'll see.
All
Well,
right.
go ahead and pour it up so we can, do our cheers. We can toast it up before we get into it. This episode, we're, of course, 15 years of friendship. We're going to be talking about navigating friendships at adulthood. What does that look like?
Ooh,
And so we're going to pour it up.
pour it up.
And Jaron, you're going to lead us in a cheers. Like, I think this should be our bubbly. You got
Okay.
a cheer?
I do have a
Like, you can do?
cheers.
Okay. Is it about friendship?
It is. Ready?
Okay. All right. Perfect. Let's go.
All right. There are many ships that sail the sea, but the
Mm-hmm.
best ships are friendships, and may they always be.
Okay. I like that. Cheers. Sip on that. That was a little poetic. I wasn't expecting that. I thought you was going to say something ratchet.
Up with it, down with it.
Yeah, I thought you was going to say it, but I like that too. Or have you seen the new one where it was like, never below us, always behind? You seen the people do that? On TikTok and Instagram? It's like, they take the glass and they say, never below us, never above us. You never seen that?
I don't know. It's not ringing a bell.
Okay. Well, it's all right. Well, anyways, so let's get into it about friendships. So we've been friends for 15 years, which is kind of crazy because I feel like when I left Howard, that I remember having a conversation with a friend who actually has passed away now, with Trey. And I remember being on the couch and I was like, I don't know what our friendships are going to be like now, because as when you're in school, or like when you're even in grade school, you see your friends every day. It's easy to get in contact with them. You meet in the caf or you meet up on the weekends. It's pretty much like your life. Like everybody is, it's kind of like living with, honestly, college is like living with your best friends for 4 years.
Right.
Like everyone is together. And so it's just easy to maintain those relationships in an easy and seamless way. But when you become an adult, it's kind of like, oh, now you have to make plans and figure out how to see people. People live far away. People are immersed in their passions, their careers. They probably started new families. And so it's like, how do you nurture your friendships with balancing kind of like the different obstacles and responsibilities that you have as adulthood? So I don't know. I don't know. Like, how do you feel like you've been able to keep in contact? Because now you're all the way in Wisconsin, and I feel like most of you have family in Chicago, but like a lot of us is still on the East Coast, like your friends. Yeah.
That's a good question. Very good question. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that as you get old, I don't know. I really don't know. Why are you laughing at me?
I mean, because you were like, I don't know. I've never seen you be stuck on a question. Like you're like,
right. It's the
I
first
don't know what
question.
to
Here we
say.
go. And I'm just stuck. No.
It's cool.
Yeah. No. I think it's interesting because I think that I remember having similar conversations, like when you are getting to the end of your collegiate career, right? You're like, okay, well, like, what's going to happen now? Because you're right. It does get so much harder to. You might hear some feet. That's Dewey.
Who's that?
Dewey.
Oh, it's Newey. Oh, he in the back. That's his dog. In the background. What is he doing?
He's just playing with a toy. Okay, now he's gone.
Oh.
But yeah, no, I mean, as you get older, there are things that get in the way of like making that easy. I think that over the years, I think that you've just like, I don't know, you maintain the relationships that are most important to you. I think that just because you don't keep in contact as closely as you will with some people doesn't mean that your relationship changes, though. It doesn't have to.
That's true.
Yeah. So yeah, I just think, I don't know. It's crazy though, because as you mentioned, like 15 years, it seems like that is a long time, but it doesn't seem that long. Like
it doesn't.
I remember, and I feel like it was in college that we saw the why did I get married and why did I get married too? Isn't that when that came out? The Tyler Perry movies.
Did we go? We probably did. We used to go. We did.
I don't know, but even seeing those, I remember like thinking like, because those characters in the movie, they were like friends from college from like 20 years. And it's like, oh dang, is that like gonna be us in 20 years? Be us? Continue those relationships like 20 years, and it doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it has. But I think that again, you stay in communication, and I don't know.
Yeah. That is true. I think it helped for us to have like technology. Because I can't imagine like our parents' age and like writing letters. Right. We got to write letters to each other, or I don't know. We have to really plan trips to see one another because I guess do phone calls. But I think technology makes it so much easier because I think we have like group chats. So even when you're like doing your day to day, you can always easily put a meme in the group chat. Everybody laughs, or you feel connected through Instagram, or you feel connected through FaceTime. So I think technology definitely makes it easier because I feel like at one point, I think before Howard, I don't think I was that good with maintaining my friendships. Like it was like out of sight, out of mind. So I really thought like after Howard, I wouldn't see y'all like no more. I was like, I'm not going to see y'all. This is kind of it. And then it just continued. And then it's just like small things like our mutual friend Ariana would come. She moved back to Oregon, but she would make it a point to come back every summer to hang out with us. And then sometimes you'd be like, oh, I'm going to come during this week. Like we would kind of coordinate weeks where we can all kind of be in the city together. And so it is definitely an effort that has to take place. But I never feel like it's hard. I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to talk to you all. Like I miss you. Like we need to hang out. So maybe that's also finding a group of friends that you enjoy being around. So it doesn't feel like a task to have to reach out to them or to like schedule different things. Right. You want to see your friends.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's a good point about social media too. It makes it easy to, like you're saying, connect and like stay on top of what people are doing because it's all out there.
Yeah. But then again, too, you have people who just like you just grow apart.
Yeah.
Like you don't, I don't know what happens. I think sometimes people just grow and go into different directions, and so I think the friendships may start to fizzle out a little bit.
And that's real.
And we said, I mean, because I feel like we both had some friendships that well, I know I have had friendships that kind of fizzle out over time. But I think it also goes to the play of like, because I was looking at this article of like, do you have friendships for different things? Like, do you notice like you have friends for different situations in your life? Or is it kind of like you just have a pool of friends?
That's interesting because I was going to ask you that question. Like, is it
okay.
possible that you can have multiple best friends? But it's like sort of kind of the same situation. But like, I think that it is. I think that. I think it's kind of both. I think that yes, you can have friends who. Like, I mean, you have friends who have gone through certain stages of your life with you that other friends have not, right? And then you have friends who have been there through every stage of life. So it's like, so I think that it is kind of different. Like, you can't have friends who are, not situational friends, but like, like they relate to certain parts of your life. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
I kind of do. I think you have certain people in your life that can, like, if you're going through a situation or going through experience, there's certain people in your life who can understand that because they have like the whole story. Like they've been with you. That's what I imagine what you're saying. Like they've been with you maybe since like elementary or high school. So like they can really understand maybe this part of your story more so than somebody else. But I definitely think that I could definitely say in high school I did have like situational friendships. But now do I have I think I probably still do in a sense. Like I do have friends, like I have a lot of mutual friends in groups. Yeah. So when I say situations, it's like I have a friend that, oh, it's time to go to brunch, let's go to brunch. But like if I'm really going through an issue, I might not call that friend to like talk about my issue. But I'll call that friend to go hang out on the weekend.
Right.
So, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
Well, no, it's not a bad thing either. It's just that there are friends who, right. And that's what, I mean, I gave a bad example, I think. Like, I gave another probably bad example, but like, I have friends who like, I know through journalism who I'm going to talk about work stuff with versus I'm not going to talk to like, I'm not going to call someone else who doesn't know anything about our industry and be like, oh my gosh, like, you know what I mean? So like,
they're not gonna relate.
Those type of situations.
True.
But then I think you mean like with life situations. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, there are definitely friends who I know like are gonna say yes to the brunch invitation, and friends who I know are gonna say no. That's fine.
Okay, so people would say, is that a friend or is that an associate?
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Like, because is it a friend? Because I go through this with my clients all the time, especially high school. I feel like they have a hard time conceptualizing friendship. So is this a person that is actually a friend who's going to be supportive of you and there? Or is this just somebody you like to hang around with and get in trouble with? And so they're an associate, but not necessarily a friend. And I think that's an important kind of thing to navigate.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I could tell you what I think you want me to tell you what I think the difference is, or you want to chime in there?
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
Okay. So I feel like, let me think about it a little bit. All right. So again, I kind of said it, like an associate is someone who maybe you're a mutual friend with, right? Because I think sometimes in our circle that we meet friends through friends. So, I might start hanging out with one of your friends, but they're not necessarily my friend.
Right.
They may just be kind of like an associate. So I might, if I'm having a party or something, I might add them on the invitation. But again, I'm not calling them up to be like, hey, what you doing today? Or without even, just me connecting with them individually. So I feel like an associate is just someone that you might have like, you're cordial, you probably respect each other, and you have some type of connection, whether it's a mutual friend, whether it's a hobby that you do. I think even sometimes people who have hobbies on the weekend, like say you like to go hiking, you might have your hiking group of friends, but don't mean you're going to call your hiking friends when you're really going through it or you having a work situation. You might just hit them up like, oh yeah, Saturday, you going to this, like you said, like if it's something related to our hobby, I might call you to like, talk to you about this, but I'm not talking to you about my personal issues in life. Maybe that might go that route, but it's also okay to have sectional people like, that's just my hiking buddy. Like we hike, so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree then, yeah. And maybe you're right. I mean, when you break it down like that, it makes it sound like those sectional relationships are more associates, and
Mm-hmm.
that can grow into friendship.
Right. Yeah, I think so. I think too. I think when you think about section, I think about work too,
Hmm.
because I feel like I feel like you develop work friendships really well.
Hmm.
But I don't know if it's because people at your job is more around your age or like y'all have more things in common. But I feel like at work, I like to separate it. Like also people at work are older. Like they're maybe, well, they're not that much older. Maybe like I just feel like it's just not somebody I would hang out with.
Yeah.
Because I have hung out with people at work when I was in my early 20s because we were all in the same stage of life. We were all kind of at NIH doing a post back. We were all trying to figure out med school, grad school, all that stuff. So we were kind of in the same area. We like to
Hmm.
do things. And at NIH, we were like the only Black kids. Like it was it was a small pool of us. So it was a
Yeah.
connection. But now I'm like, yeah, I don't need to like hang out with my coworkers. I don't really want to see them. And there was a friend who just was supposed to go to a brunch with his coworkers today, and I think they changed the time. They said originally it was at 1:15, and then they said it was 11:30. He was like, and then he was like, oh. I didn't get the group message. I thought it was 1:30, and the girl was like, or his coworker was like, "Never mind, just don't come. It's all right. Just like forget about it." And I was like, "Oh, that's a little."
Okay.
That's a little like, is this was work? Are y'all friends? Like
Right.
why was it that much animosity? And he was like, I think she mad at me. And I was like, mad. And I was like, well, when was this planned? Because why would it be a mad thing? Like y'all are coworkers. And
Right.
if she changed the time, everybody is adults. Doesn't mean that I could come at 1:15. Doesn't mean I can come at like 11:30.
Right.
So I think it's weird. Like people blur those lines, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know, with their coworkers.
Yeah, no, I definitely know that there are people who, draw that line between, work and friends and personal life. And I think that's important that you should do that. To some extent, you should definitely have boundaries. I think that in my work relationships, I think that I've been fortunate in my past couple of stations to be in like-minded, um, I guess like life circumstances, like you were saying with you at
Mm-hmm.
my age, where like my
Yeah.
co-anchors have been, similar age, we're in the
Okay.
same like stage of life, trying to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's not to say that everyone's like that, because like, like then I have producers who are a little older who like I'm not going to be that close with. And then,
Yeah.
or even just like, I think that it all just depends. But yeah, no, I think that you do have to have boundaries. I think that is important. But I think that sometimes it works out. I'm glad that it does work out. Like now, my co-anchor is like one of my closest friends, even here in
Mm-hmm.
Milwaukee. So like, that's like, and I think that helps at work too.
Wait, one of your closest friends is what?
I said my co-anchor is one of my
Mm-hmm.
closest friends here in Milwaukee. So I'm saying
Oh, okay,
that
okay.
like, like we don't have that relationship where it's like work and life completely separate, but it's also because we're in very similar, circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
life stages, and we
Yeah.
just really relate well outside of work too. So we have
Mm-hmm.
a really good relationship.
That's good. Have you ever had to set, because you mentioned setting boundaries, right? How
Hmm.
do you set boundaries with your coworkers? Like, have you had an experience where you had to set a boundary with a coworker?
Like when you say set a boundary, what do you mean? Just be like, I mean, like, I don't know.
Okay, I mean, setting boundaries, like saying no or
But yeah,
saying like, no, I'm not going to do X, Y, Z. It doesn't have to be like sexual harassment or anything
right,
like
right,
that,
right,
but
right.
just the fact that you're saying like, no, you're my coworker, you're not invited to this,
Okay, okay, yeah,
or no, you can't. Just setting a blocker, kind of trying to make sure that it stays separated.
yeah. Yes, definitely,
Okay,
for sure.
okay. How did
Um,
that go?
I mean, I think that I mean, yeah, no, like I think that, I think it's fine. I mean, I think it's not a hard thing to do at all.
Okay, was it? Some people might find it hard to set
Oh
boundaries with their
no,
coworkers.
no, no,
No.
no.
Okay, so it was just a conversation. I mean, how did I don't know? I'm trying to like figure out was it something that happened, or was just you just set a boundary?
That's what. No, I think that it's like not even a conversation I had, just like a mental boundary. Like just like
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not understanding the question. Maybe
well, I think that's good too, because there are different boundaries, right? So
yeah.
when you're saying there wasn't a conversation had, sometimes you don't even have to go towards the conversation because it's the way I act around you. That could even be a boundary. So when I'm at work, I act or I'm a certain way or behave a certain way, that sets a boundary in itself. So people know that they can't do X, Y, and Z. So for instance, like I've been in, think about when I used to work in the schools, there were some coworkers who were very lax. Like they would be kind of chilling in each other's office. They would be kind of talking about personal issues. They, they may be joking around with coworkers a lot. So I feel like that kind of takes away a layer, right? Like if I can joke around with you, I'm chilling with you, I may think I can do certain things or have this relationship with you because that boundary is no longer there. So so that's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to necessarily be a conversation, but how do you set boundaries to separate that from?
That's a great example because I feel like that's the way that I operate. Like I don't necessarily have to have like a conversation, but like I feel like like I just feel like there's like kind of a decorum in place, and like if I'm cordial with you or I'm like there's not going to be situations where you're gonna like, I don't know. I think that like
okay. All right.
I didn't say anything. I'm just hold on. I gotta think because this is a good question.
Come on, relax. Take a sip of wine. Come on, Gerron. Take a sip of wine. Relax. your shoulders is up to your ears. Come on. Relax. It's a podcast. And probably only 3 people listening anyway. It's okay. It's not as serious. Hopefully one day people will look back and maybe more people will listen to my podcast. But we're in the beginning stages. It's a fun time. It's relaxed.
Hold on, I'm trying to think.
It's cool. Boundaries in the workplace. Like I'll give you an example. For instance, your page. Okay, we can talk about this. Your page, right, on Instagram. I think your page is appropriate. Yeah, your Instagram page is appropriate. But there are also some things that's like, like I think you're yourself. You're you, right? It's not completely like professional work. You'll like do memes and you'll do different things. So like people where everybody at work can follow you on your Instagram page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you have some things that you're like, I wouldn't put this on my Instagram page?
Yeah. I'm just like mindful of what I post because like my pages are open. So yeah, there are certain things I'm not going to put on there.
Okay. So what's something that you wouldn't put on there?
So I didn't put a lot of our homecoming festivities on there.
Okay. All right, but you did do a reel though.
I did a reel, but it didn't have a lot of other moments.
Okay, it didn't have a lot of moments in there. All right. I mean, I just be wondering because sometimes I be jogging back and forth between keeping my page private and then open because I feel like I hate that reels you have to have it private in order everybody see.
Yeah.
But okay, so then that might be a boundary too. Like it's certain things that you put on your Instagram page.
Well, yeah, and I think that because I am like a quote unquote public person, like
you got a blue check,
huh?
I said you got a blue check.
But that's why, like, I mean, my stuff is open, but I just have to be cognizant over what I'm posting. Like, I just don't post. There are some things I'm just not going to post on my pages because I know that they're open to the public.
Yeah. Okay.
That's good. I'm trying to think of this boundary work situation. It's never been a conversation. I just feel like I've never had to like have a conversation with anyone to set a boundary at work.
Okay. I feel like I've had one situation.
Like what did they do? Like what brought about the conversation?
So if there was I was a school psychologist. I worked at a school, and one of my students, he had a lot of behavioral issues. So he had a dedicated aide, so somebody who would be with him all the time, and it happened to be a Black man. And so of course, me and the Black man would have to interact a lot because the student was always having behavioral issues. And so the man, his dedicated aide, wanted to go on a date with me. He was like, you like sushi? You want to go on a date? Da, 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 da. And I was like, no, we work together. I'm fine. Like, I'm not crossing that line. He was like, but it's fine. Da, da, da. And it was kind of like continuing to reiterate, like, no, that's not happening. And then even when I was like, yeah, I'm leaving, he was like, well, now we can talk. And I was like, I'm just not interested. But I think that's the boundary of like, sometimes I think as and not to my horn, as an attractive Black woman, I think sometimes sometimes in certain situations, especially when you work in a school, people will always try to like talk to you or try to like gauge you outside of school or try to do those things. But I feel like I was very strict, and I've seen a lot of people when I was at that particular job interact in very inappropriate ways, so much so that by the end of this school semester, people were getting fired. So it's like you have to really be careful about setting those boundaries. And I think to me, it's always odd, and kind of tying it all back into friendship. It's odd when I feel like adults make friends at work. I don't think it's like crazy, but it's like when those are like your main friends. Like sometimes I feel like adults act as if these are their only friends. Like this is their only pool or way of connecting with people, are the people they associate with at work, and they don't have people outside of work that they engage with. And you can kind of tell how people navigate work life, that everything is sometimes drama, or everything is always tied, or you make or bond with people really quickly. And I think that can lead to not healthy relationships, when especially at work. I think you really have to have somebody that's really a good friend, but I think sometimes people just kind of go real fast and try to develop friendships because maybe they're lonely or they don't have those friendships outside of work. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying about, I think you said, is there a thing about having a best friend, or do you have a best friend, or
Multiple
should we
best
all
friends.
have a best friend? And that was pretty much of like Psychology Today had an article about 5 lies about adult friendships. And one lie was, we should have a best friend. And they're saying that that is a myth, that it's more that labels aren't really important, or status we give our friendships, but necessarily just how our friends treat us, or how we confide in that friend for support. I don't know. Do you have a best friend?
I feel like I have multiple best friends. So maybe,
right.
like, I don't know. And then that begs the question, like, then what is best friend? It's like, why are you just labeling them? I have like, I don't know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. This article is interesting. I don't feel like I have a best friend either. And sometimes my clients will say, I don't know, we're doing icebreakers because they're children, and they'll say, well, who's your best friend, Dr. McIntyre? And I'm like, I don't know, who is my best friend? Like, I don't know. I feel like I love all of y'all. Like, I don't really feel like I have one best friend.
Right.
And I think this article says that as we age, our understanding of what a best friend is can change. What's more important than the labels or status we give our friends is whether our friendships are reciprocated. Mm-hmm. So that's true. So that is, both people in the friendship consider the other a friend. That might sound simple enough,
but it's harder as you get older.
You said what?
With that little sentence that you just said, it's harder as you get older.
Right. And this is what they say. They said research suggests that up to half of our friendships, are actually unreciprocated.
I believe it.
That's crazy. It can also help to remember that one person doesn't have to meet all of our friendship needs. Having one friend we confide in or turn to for support, and another we call for weekend outings, is no less special than having one best friend, our person with whom we do everything with. All right. So we was on to something.
Mm-hmm.
We was on to something. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we said that. I didn't know about the half of relationships are unreciprocated. But
I don't know.
Do you feel reciprocated in your relationships?
Some of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of them. I think what I had to realize is that everybody's not going to do the same things that you do. Like, they're not going to be a friend the same way that I'm a friend. So, and I guess it kind of goes back into love languages, because love languages can be used for friendship too. So the way that I feel like I'm showing up as a good friend may not be the same way someone else may think, or my friend may think that they're showing up as a good friend. Mm-hmm. So that can sometimes be a thing, like, oh, you're not reciprocating. But I think it's not necessarily they're not reciprocating. They just may be doing it in a different way that I don't notice. Or that's just not my love language, so it doesn't connect the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I can buy that. I can buy that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then I think that you can also tell when someone is not reciprocating anything.
How can you tell?
I mean, it's just like, I mean, if you're always giving, you know, I feel like, I don't know. I don't even think it has to be necessarily anything as like tangible as like giving, but I think that like, I don't know. I feel like you can just tell when you're not getting anything in return from something. Like, you know, you can't be exhausted by a friendship of yours. Like, I feel like that is like maybe one of the prime examples. Like, if you're exhausted by a friendship of yours, then I think that that's not maybe a reciprocal friendship, because you shouldn't be exhausted. Like,
oh, that's a good tell. Okay.
Yeah, you're trying to invest in. I think that goes in with just like relationship. Well, I can't talk about relationships, so I don't know. But
no, you can though. You can always talk about relationships. I think you can.
But no,
you don't have to be in a. That's also, I think, a myth. You don't have to be in a relationship to talk about relationships. Fuck married people and people in relationships who say you have to be in a relationship in order to talk about it. No, I've had a lot of failed relationships, so I can talk about that shit because I know what I did wrong and I know what the person did wrong. I can talk about it.
But yeah, with any relationship that you have, I feel like it could be a relationship with a family member, a friendship, like whatever. I feel like if you're exhausted by it, then I don't know. I feel like that's not a good sign, obviously.
I like that because that goes into like pouring in and pouring out. So if you feel like you're always pouring out or pouring onto a friend and they're never pouring into you, then that would lead to like being exhausted or tired or feeling like the relationship is just too much.
Like a burden.
A burden. Yeah. Yeah. And it shouldn't feel draining.
Right.
Okay. Here's another myth, which I think is good. Okay. We should hold on to childhood friends. Stability isn't a...
Wait, they say that that's a myth?
Yeah. So people believe that they should hold on to their childhood friends.
Okay.
You disagree?
I think that it's okay to let go of childhood friends.
Okay, right. Yeah, that's what they're saying too. They're saying the myth is that people think they have to hold on to their friends, their childhood friends, no matter what. But you're right. Like you're saying, you can let them go.
Are you going to continue reading? Is there?
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, so I didn't know if you had any thoughts on that, but I'm.
Okay. Yeah.
So stability is an important marker of a healthy friendship. While it can be tough to maintain our friendships, especially when we are in different life stages, so much good can come from having long-term friendships. That said, people change. And along with that, so do our friendships. Holding on to a friendship that no longer serves us because we are afraid of letting go isn't in our best interests. As we age, it's normal that we whittle down our group of friends to those we value the most, which can include childhood companions or more recent friendships. The friendships we develop as adults can be every bit as close and fulfilling as the friendships formed when we were younger.
So my question or comment or concern would be then, because I feel like what is letting go of a friendship? Because just because like a childhood friend, you know, who you've known since whatever, just because y'all don't talk anymore, like, you know, what does letting go mean? Like, does letting go have to be like a negative connotation of like something ending in a bad way, you know, or does it like does anything even have to be said when you let go of a friendship in that way?
I think it depends on the person. I think a healthy way is kind of like what you were saying earlier. If you feel that you're exhausted by the relationship, right? So you have a childhood friend and you've grown very differently. You may be on a different path than this friend and it's obvious and it sometimes feels exhausting having to remain in this friendship with this person. Then you can have a conversation with this friend about how you feel. And I always
Active
suggest
friendship. Okay, this is okay. That's why I was a little different.
this is the act. Yeah, this is an active friendship. So what you were thinking that they already
That you
let the
just
friendship
like,
go?
yeah, y'all just have like lost touch and contact over years.
Well, I
And
think that happens too. I think sometimes people. So I feel like sometimes there's parties where there's one person who's like, this not working, and the other person is like, I still like you, you're my friend, and the other person has to communicate like this is not working. And then there are friendships where both parties just kind of disperse and go on their separate ways, and it's not necessarily any animosity. I think I have some friendships like that from high school. I don't have a lot of childhood friends, to be honest. All of my friends and close friends came from Howard. So my childhood, and I don't think I have any friends from elementary school. High school, middle school, kind of like not friendships, people I see. High school, I think I have a lot of friends, kind of we just go our separate ways, but we may come back together maybe for birthdays sometimes, or if somebody take a trip, we may get together. But even then, I've noticed that sometimes our alignment isn't the same in like taking trips and things of that nature. That sometimes I have a good, so for instance, like my high school friend that I might engage with, I'm really close with, well, not really close, but I can be close with her enough to take a trip and we can have a good time. But sometimes the friends that she's hanging around with, I may not be as close with them, and so I may not want to hang out with them on a trip. I may not want to go on an extended trip with them. Maybe if it was a Saturday night thing, yeah, but maybe not like a whole 4 or 5 day vacation out of the country. I don't think I really want to go, right? So I think in that sense, you start to, what you were saying, like, how do you just separate? I think you just start to set boundaries. Maybe you start to say no more, or maybe maybe you only hang out at certain things. Maybe I'll go support you here, but not on a 5-day trip with you and your other friends. So I think it can look different as what letting go of childhood friends look like. Mm-hmm. But I think the unhealthy thing what the article is saying is when people stay in the relationship and feel like it has to be, you're my bestie and we ride together and we do all of this together. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. You can totally let go of the relationship, or you can just choose how you want to show up in that relationship in certain ways.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Do you have childhood friends like from elementary school?
So I have one friend who I've known for 32 years. So that's like, and it's like, wow. That's DJ. You've met DJ.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And that's like, I mean, he's a little more like a brother to me in that sense. Our mothers were best friends before we were born. So we've grown up together our entire life, and we're still very actively friends. Mm-hmm. And then I have 2 friends from 6th grade who I still talk to. And one person who I do consider one of my best friends, I've talked to since 6th grade too, who I still talk to.
Okay.
But actually, we've recently not talked. And it's a good example of like, maybe we're going our separate ways at this point. I don't know. But
okay. Well, I mean, like, how often do you talk? Like, is this, because sometimes people just won't talk and then they'll talk and it's like,
so
no time has
this is a specific example when, I mean, like, apparently we got into it last summer, but like, I mean, I don't know over what. So I'm still trying to figure out over what, but I'm also like, as I've exhausted my efforts and trying to figure out what's wrong and like what I did and like how to recover things or whatever, like that's not being reciprocated. So like I'm starting to give less cares about needing to maintain it.
Yeah. That's healthy for you. Yeah. I think sometimes that's good too, because people can be mad at things, but just because they're mad, but that doesn't mean that they are putting in the effort to fix or have resolve. Some people just like to be mad.
Right.
And it's like, are you mad at something else, or because you're not trying to resolve the issue? So that's interesting. Yeah.
So I've gotten to the point where, I'm just like, okay, well.
It's not. Yeah. Don't feel, again, your key point, the warning sign is feeling exhausted. If you feel exhausted, then it's time to let go, I guess.
And let God.
Let God. All right, this is the last one I'm going to do. Okay, so from this misconceptions about adult friendships. This one says we should know how to make and keep friends as an adult. And to me, this goes into a little bit. We should know how to make and keep friends as an adult. I think that goes. as an adult,
That's a myth.
adult. Yeah, that's a myth.
So we should not know how to make friends as an adult?
Yes, that means that it's I get okay, let me read it for you. Okay, so it says navigating friendships as an adult can be difficult. Like all relationships, friendships require time and effort, and this isn't always easy to commit, especially when we are trying to balance our other relationships and responsibilities. The challenges we experience in our friendships can also change throughout our lives. Even if we had success when we were younger, we might suddenly find ourselves in a new city or stage of life where we struggle to expand our social circle, maintain old friendships, or even disengage from an unhealthy or toxic friendship. And as wonderful as technology is, it's changing the way we relate to each other and creating new opportunities for misunderstanding that we need to learn to manage.
Deep.
Yeah. Psychology day. I mean, I guess it's kind of the idea that you're an adult, you should know how to do it. Or even I like how they said if it was always easy for you to make friends and then you find yourself in a situation that's hard, don't give yourself grace because sometimes it's hard to make friends.
It is. It is. It is hard to make friends. It is hard to make friends. And I'm someone, I've moved around for the past 12 years for work. Every couple of years, and it's like restarting your life every couple of years, and it is hard to make friends. And sometimes it just doesn't happen. Like, I don't know. I think that you do have to give yourself grace.
Well, let's talk about that. Like, so how do you meet friends as an adult, like moving, because you have moved different times into different states and starting fresh. So how do you meet friends?
You know, I think that everybody always asks that question because I do seem to make friends, I make associates pretty quickly where I go and make associates. But I think that honestly, for me, it's been being vulnerable and being open. I think that I don't know. I think that if someone moves to a new place, like, I think the key is to say yes. Like when people invite you somewhere, you take those opportunities because you don't know anyone. And so I think that that's what I've always done. Like I've always said yes.
Okay.
To like, meeting new people or like going out and meeting new people or just like having the opportunity. And then I just meet people through people. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's interesting too, because you said that other people always look at you and say, oh, you'll make friends or it's easy. Like you have a lot of friends, but you're saying personally, it's not always easy. That sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
Even being, I guess, would you call yourself extroverted?
I would call myself an extroverted introvert.
Okay. I always thought that was fake. Like, what is that? I don't know. What is it?
I mean,
because everybody like their alone time.
Well, I'm just saying, like, by the nature of like my life and job, I feel like I'm an extrovert, right? Like, I have to talk to people. I have to communicate with people. Like, I'm always in these circles where I have to communicate with people. So yes. I'm always like communicating, but like inside, like that gives me anxiety sometimes. Like, it's like I don't like having to do that, and like I don't like having to go places and like talk to people and see people and like like it's sometimes like
okay,
like I do it, but it's not necessarily easy.
That's
but I think point. That sometimes, like I said, when you're vulnerable and you just like allow yourself to be open like that, then it does sometimes result in good things.
Friendships. Yeah, it's always good to be vulnerable, even though it's hard. But yeah, sometimes, like you said, you have anxiety inside, but people can't really see that. So they're just thinking like, oh, Gerron is bopping around and he's meeting all these new people and he's having a good time and he's very friendly. When inside you could be like in the car before you talk to anybody, you could be like kind of cringing like, oh, I got to do this right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I feel like the same with my friend, because when she moved to Chicago, Morgan, when she moved, I think she had some of the same reservations about moving to show. Like, I'm not going to be friends. And we're always like, what the fuck are you talking about? You meet friends everywhere you go. But I guess sometimes we don't realize like the anxiety or things or pressure that it can feel inside.
Yeah.
And then also knowing that maybe if in another place you met such great friends and you're like, how I'm not going to be able to replace these people or meet people of the same caliber. So it can still be some anxiety there. So that makes sense. I wondered too. I mean, this wasn't a myth up here, but I thought it was going to be about when you get to a certain age that you shouldn't make new friends. Like there should no new friends. Like that should be a thing. Like you don't make new friends. Like you got your circle is good. You can't meet a new friend at 55. Like what are you talking about? Like you should already have all your friends. That's what it was. That's what that was. I had sent a post to the group. I'm sorry. I had like a moment. Where did I get that from? I had sent a post to a group where it was, I can't remember the actresses' names. It was like 4 of them. They're pretty well known, and they were doing an interview and they were talking about friendship. And one of them was saying that she more so is very intentional in her friendships. So she's a person who, if I see this person, I'm like, I really want to be friends with you. I'm going to pursue it and I'm going to say, hey, I want to be your friend. Let's do it. Right. And she was saying people will say, oh, you're 50, you're 60, you're too old to be making new friends. Like you shouldn't be making new friends. And she was like, bump that. Like you can make new friends at any age. It's all about intention. And then her other 2 friends were saying they more introverts. And they were like, I don't really like talking to people. I'm like, don't talk to me. I don't like talking to people. But they were like, she made me talk to her. She just kept coming to me and was consistent. And so then they ended up developing a friendship. So I think that's of note too. I think a lot of times when people see someone that they would want to be friends with or they're interested in talking to as a friend, that build that, go for it. If you feel like you want to be friends with that person, you never know what could come out of it.
Yeah. And people attract energies too. Energies attract.
Yeah, people do track energies. I know then again, sometimes your friend circles will be like, no new friends. Like, I don't want to meet none of your new friends. Don't bring none of your friends around me. I know, I would be real. I look at sometimes your page, I'm like, who is Gerron hanging out with? Like, who are these people? And I'll send it to Ariana and be like, look at Gerron. Who is he at Christmas with? Who is these? Why is he here? And then we'll laugh. But it's always like that. And she does the same thing to my pictures. Like if I'm out, she'll be looking at my pictures like, girl, who are you with? Who are these people? So we always have like the no new friends. But you can have friends, but no new friends. Like you can have friends, but no new friends.
What do you think about mixing friend groups?
Ooh, that's a good one. We have jokes about that too. Mixing friend groups. So I'll say this. I think, and I just brought up Morgan, right? So Morgan is really good at mixing friend groups. And she'll bring us together. And I remember like anytime she brings new people into the group, usually we don't fuck with it. We'll be like, who is this person? And then over time, we're like, oh, this person's really cool. I like this person. It works. And then, we'll start to develop our own one-on-one relationships with that person. So she's good at doing that. And I think I've bridged that a little bit now, kind of with the ANTS, ANTS. That's a friend group I have, and it's just our initials. And so I think I kind of bridged us. I feel like I don't want to say like I'm responsible for us to being together, but it's kind of like who's kind of like the mutual friend that knows everybody, right? So I think in some situations it works.
Yeah.
So you just have to know. And I think I'm good at picking up on vibes. So I know who can kind of like hang with the group and if in how. So for instance, when I had my birthday for Tulum, I ended up inviting all of us together and it happened to work out really well. But I also think, to me, I don't think that was my goal. I just wanted to fucking get out of the country. It was 2020 and I was like, let's just go. Who has money? Who's ready to go to Tulum? And it happened to be us who went. So us 4. So then it just worked out and it worked out really well. And then we kept wanting to do things together. But then sometimes people can bring people into the group and we make jokes about you're the friend of the show. Like you're the friend of the show. You are Marlo. Yeah, what you say?
Mia's assistant. Have you been watching Potomac?
Oh, I have been watching Potomac. Big Bird, the one they call Big Bird.
No.
Which one are you talking about?
I was talking about Jacqueline, Mia's assistant. Friend of the show. Friend of the show.
Oh, Jacqueline. Well, I guess she is friend of the show. She's a real good friend of the show. She made a lot of. This is a tangent a little bit. Yeah, a sidebar. But she has made a lot of great strides because she gets a lot of camera time.
She does.
Like a lot of camera time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what is it about her that she gets so much camera time? But I guess it's because Mia don't really have a storyline, so maybe that's
right. She is her storyline.
G is her story. G is her storyline, and Jacqueline is her storyline.
Right.
Because honestly, what would it be that she threw a drink at Wendy?
Right.
For no reason. I'm gonna say this too. Like, you saw last episode, right? Mm-hmm. And she was talking to Wendy, and Wendy was like, "Don't tell me about friendships because you can't even maintain your friendship for 30 plus years." Yep. And then she was like, "Okay, I threw the drink. I apologize. Now, can we get to the issue at hand?" And Wendy's like, "Have you been listening? This is the issue." I'm like, I love Wendy so much more this season.
I like Wendy.
She's a fan fave for this season. Last season I didn't like her that much. When she was on this I'm a doctor shit, it's like, girl, bye. Yeah. But this season she is a fan fave. Just like the things about her family makes me like her. How she's taking up for herself with Mia, I like her. Yeah. So she's a fan fave. For sure. Yeah. But yeah, friend of the show. That's what that was. Friend of the show.
There are those people. There are people who have, like, I call them mixers, right? There are people who.
That's even bad. That's worse than friend of the show. Yeah. You're a mixer.
Well, there are people who you can, like, mix with other people, and there are people who you
mix can't.
In. Yeah. Okay. And I feel like I'm a good reader too of the people who you can and cannot, like, put together. Mm-hmm. And I think that's fine that you have people that you can and cannot put together.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely fine. There are some people that we talk about that we know that can only be around certain people because they might either complain a lot or they always have an issue with stuff. So you have to put them around people who are just have patience and someone who's going to be like, okay. But it's also interesting too because I told my friend, she was trying to bring in another person into the group, and I told her, in order to bring this person to the group, we have to have a big group outing. It can't just be something small at the house or something like a brunch. It has to be where there's so many of us that nobody really noticed the shit that she's doing, right? And so, and it actually worked. So it was like a big group of us, and we was like doing bar crawling. I don't know what we were doing. I think it was bar crawling. And it worked so much to the point where my friend is always asks about her and be like, she's so nice. She's so nice. And he's the only one who would say that she's nice, because everybody's like, she's annoying as fuck. But it worked because we were all in a big group. We were all drunk, and you didn't notice that her behaviors were annoying. You thought she was funny. Okay. So, but it has to be a big group sometimes to mix people in. Mm-hmm. But it can work.
I think it can work. I think you can mix groups.
Yeah, you can. Let's see. I think we've hit a lot of stuff today. I was trying to go back to my list, but my thing went. I think we talked about setting boundaries. I think it was one thing I didn't want to talk about, but I don't see it. Boop, 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 boop. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Talk about friends in the workplace, different types, friends versus associates, setting boundaries, what happens when friends grow apart. We talked about that. 5 lies about adulthood. Yeah, we talked about pretty much how to maintain long distance friendships. The other thing I don't think I'm going to talk about borderline personality disorder today. And then what? Why you say that?
You got friends who got borderline personality disorder?
No, but borderline personality disorder can make it hard to maintain friendships.
Yeah, and relationships.
You know somebody who had it?
Probably.
You want to talk about it a little bit?
No.
Hey, sounds like good content to me. But if you don't feel comfortable, it's okay. But there's ways to it just takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. Do you want me to cut this part out?
Okay. Okay, I'm just a bitter ex. That's all.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's a whole nother day, like mental health and relationships. Because some people really, when you think about the list of things you want in a relationship, and this should be in friendships too. Actually, maybe this could be a good segue. When you think about the things that you want in a relationship or friendship, like people always have a list of things that they want in a relationship, you know. But also, when you think about relationships and friendships, if you're making new friends, you want somebody to be emotional stable. Like they have to be, because that could lead to that exhaustion really quick.
Real
When someone is just not mentally stable or emotionally stable. Now, I was thinking about borderline personality disorder, because it automatically, some of the symptoms are related to issues that impact not personalities. I'm sorry, issues that impact friendships, or being able to maintain friendships. So that I don't know why I can't talk all of a sudden. So that person may not have self-regulation or control when it comes to their anger. They may have inappropriate or intense uncontrolled anger. They may have mood swings with periods of like intense depression, irritability, or anxiety that just kind of lasts a few hours to a few days. They may have impulsiveness. Sometimes they may have suicidal threats or self-injurious behavior. They may have unstable, intense personal relationships with kind of like these extreme black and white views of people and experiences. There's no gray areas. They may have some difficulties with their self-image, their self-esteem, and just their goals. And they also have like frantic efforts to avoid abandonment. So they really want to stay attached, but they're not doing anything to kind of cultivate or nurture that attachment, right? And so that's usually
naps.
You say what?
Snaps.
Snap.
The head.
That's it. Ooh. And then that's like borderline personality disorder. So those are some of the things that you may see. But I always advise people not to try to diagnose and not to try to label the person, but just label the behavior. So just label what you see the person doing, because a lot of times people can be doing those things and they might not have borderline personality disorder. So leave that to a licensed psychologist. But be noticeable or kind of cognizant when people are doing things that are not healthy or mentally stable, that they may, because when people are all of a sudden angry, and I had to talk to a person that I'm talking to earlier, and I was like, it's fine if you disagree with me, but the way that you talk to me when you disagree with me is not acceptable. Like that being really angry, high-pitched voice, the cussing, the hanging up the phone, and all of that, that's unhealthy. So you can tell me you disagree in a very kind way. And so that is setting a boundary with the friendship. So noticing those things, because like you said, it could be exhausting. Dealing with someone who has mental health issues. And I've seen that as when I listen to other podcasts, people write in letters. That's always an issue. They're saying my significant other or my friend has mental health issues. How do I balance this relationship? It's a lot, especially if the person is not taking care of themselves. It's a lot. So anything else, any final words, anything that you would like to say?
Stay black.
Yes.
That's what I got.
Stay black, stay proud.
Yeah, I don't think I have any final words.
You want to talk about this do-rag that was on your Instagram?
This one?
Not you gonna put it. It's the fact that it was red for me.
I really don't understand why that was like such the what was.
Most people have black do rags. They don't really have like red unless they like gang banging or some shit. Like they don't have like colorful do rags. And then when you was like, I got a pack of 5 in different colors, I'm like, okay. But it was also you on like at work with your co-anchor, that's what you say, and y'all just doing a little TikTok.
Hey,
and your do-rag. I don't understand why you didn't think people was good. That wasn't what you thought people was going to talk about?
It was just like, oh my god, the do-rag, the do-rag, the do-rag, the do-rag. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay. That's how I show up to work every day. Like, I don't take my do-rag off until like 10 minutes.
It's also, too, because, Jerry, you don't even have waves.
Bruh, I do.
You do? Let me see.
Yes.
Oh, you do have some waves.
Bruh, my hair is straight.
Was it hard to find a barber in Wisconsin?
I mean, sort of. I went to.
This is a really random topic, but
there was a Great Clips. I live above a Great Clips. Like, there's a Great Clips on my first floor, and so I was like, "Oh, that's convenient," although not like preferred. But I was like, since it's so close, let me go ahead and give it a try.
It was horrible. They fucked you up. Great. You know, Great Clips is always white people in there. No offense to nobody who's white, but y'all don't know how to cut black people. Not most of them. Black people there. Most.
So, needless to say, I found someone else.
Okay.
But yeah, no, he's really good. I like him.
Okay, that's good.
Although, well, never mind. So I got my haircut yesterday, and I'm not really pleased with my line. But
oh, he did it.
He did.
Oh, what happened yesterday?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Before we go, I do kind of, because I like to kiki with you and I haven't talked to you in a while. All right. So I might add this, I might not. Who knows? But the original, before we was going to talk about navigating friendships, do you have to go?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. Before we was like navigating friendships, we was going to talk about some hot topics, right? So there's like, we was going to talk about the do-rag. We talked about that. Also, what do you think about this whole thing with like, okay, so Lori Harvey and Angela, they both in relationships right now. Some people saying it's publicity. Some people saying it's real. What do you think?
You know, I don't follow much of the Lori Harvey drama.
Really?
Okay. I really don't. And I don't know why. I guess I just don't like understand it necessarily.
What do you mean? Tell me more.
Like, I just don't understand why it's such a thing.
Like, why she an it girl?
And why, like, I mean, I don't know. Is she really dating somebody new every year? And if she is, why is that news? Why do we care?
Because I guess she's Lori Harvey. I mean, I'm being real. I mean, I guess because she's Lori Harvey and it has become a thing. Like, ooh, who she's dating next, who she's gonna date next. Like this, it just became a thing. But that's the internet. Anything can be a thing.
Right? Yeah. No, I guess so. So, but no, I just have not been. I don't know much about it.
All right. So you haven't been following anything on social media. You haven't been following Lori Harvey. You haven't been following Angela either. You don't know anything about that situation. All right. Do you know anything about? Well, I'm glad we didn't do hot topics. I'm glad we didn't do navigate. Yes, my God. Do you know anything about Diddy peeing on Carisha?
What?
This nigga I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. This guy has been living under a box.
What? What are you talking about?
Well, tell me what's happening in Wisconsin news, because I know you know that. What's up?
Wait, what is going on?
Okay, well, all right. So let me give Gerron some hot topic breakdowns. In today's hot topic breakdowns, this is what we have. How you doing? So basically, you know, Carisha has her podcast, Carisha Please, and recent guest was Trina, and her and Trina were talking about every time they have a conversation, you have to admit to something. I don't really watch the show, but from the clips, I think you have to admit to doing something if you've done it. Kind of like never have I ever. Yeah. And you have to take a shot. And so I think it was pretty much never have I ever did a golden shower, or do I like golden showers? And Carisha was like, and Trina was like, I don't do that. Like, I don't do no golden showers. She was like, of course, she said, I squirt, but I don't do, right, this conversation. She's like, but I don't do golden showers. And Carisha was like, yeah, I do golden showers. I like them. I don't know. I get off on them. I like them. And it was just kind of, the internet was like, P. Diddy. And it was like, Diddy be peeing on Carisha. So, golden showers, there we have it.
Yeah, I must have missed that one too. My bad.
Yeah, it's fine. But with the other ones, it was just like, you know, Angela's going with Yo Gotti.
Okay.
You remember his song a long time ago? He wanted the line about Angela. No. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so this has been Champagne Sunday. I'm so glad I didn't do Hot Topic. What the hell were we gonna talk about?
I would have been like,
oh my God. You were like, what? Huh? And you thought you ain't have nothing to say about friendships. You really wouldn't have nothing to say about Hot Topic. You'd have been like, who is that? All right, well, that was a Hot Topic try. I might actually leave that in here because it was kind of funny. Even though it didn't. I just wanted to kiki. But yeah, this is pretty much it. So the way that we end the show is with a pour it up. So I usually ask my guests how are they planning to pour in themselves for the week going forward. If you have any tools, any strategies, any quotes that you're going to live by in order to pour unto yourself. This week we're going into, I want to make sure this is right. If I'm looking at the calendar, it kind of is. We're pretty much going into the last full week of January. Mm-hmm. January is pretty much over, you guys. It's done. And that went by really fast. So me pouring into myself, I'm going to continue to be consistent. I've been pretty good with my spending, with working out, with meal prepping. So I hope to go into next week doing the same thing. And just using the tool of discipline and consistency for sure. It's been working so far. And I don't want to be one of those babies who, I just say baby as a word, but I just don't want to be one of the people who are like, I'm on it for January and then fall off from February. I want to keep it going at least till March or April. Like I want to at least see. And I think by April, it should definitely be like a habit in all things. So any thoughts about how you're going to pour into yourself, Gerron?
I like the discipline tip. I have a lot going on and I'm really trying to schedule things more intently,
okay.
and set like daily goals, like things that are attainable. Like I'm going to achieve this by today.
Okay.
To that. So I want to make sure I'm on top of that this week.
I like that. Daily goals is good. I like that because it gives yourself a chance to celebrate like little accomplishments, because sometimes the long or short-term goals or long-term goals, it's kind of, you have to wait and keep putting in the work. And so it's good to give yourself little celebratory moments along the way.
Yeah.
So I like that. That's good. All right. Well, that's been the episode of Champagne Sunday. Thank you so much, Gerron, for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This was so
I appreciate it. It's been long overdue. I'm glad that you came.
Yes.
So cheers to Champagne Sunday.
Cheers. Maybe next time I'll be better.
Oh, whatever.